Hallelujah, and thank you, Jesus. It's around that time right here on KAZ Radio where I have one of my most favorite shows, the Marital Toolbox, with Pastor Octavia Lucas. Take it away, Octavia.
Hey. Welcome to the Marital Toolbox. I am so excited about this evening. Sorry about the time. But anyway, the show must go on. So welcome to the Marital Toolbox. I am Octavia, and this is my co-host Barbara. And who I just love and adore, who you will see quite a bit here. Okay. And so this is the Marital Toolbox where we talk about all different type of topics of conversation or discussion, from marriage to single, spiritual, natural, practical, anything that can come across our table or come in my emails from A to Z. We have been known to talk about it. And so the toolbox is about finding the right tools that may work for you to build those healthy relationships, to build that healthy marriage, or to even build that healthy family or children or whatever, ministry or whatever. So, and one thing is to be understood. What tool may work for one person, that tool may not work for yours, but it's just like a toolbox. You're finding different tools that works for you. And so, because this is only a half an hour show, we're going to get right into it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first, because, you guys going to see her a lot. So I'm going to let Barbara just say a couple of things before we get right into it. Take it away, Barbara.
Listen, I am so glad to be here with you, Dr. Octavia. I am looking forward to today's discussion. I've been looking forward to it all day. The first one, especially.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, it gives you a lot of understanding. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay. And two, let's say this. Me and Barbara, we're both going to say this now. We have two subject matters, but we may not get to the second one, because it's a half an hour. Then again, we may get to a little bit, and what we don't finish here, we will continue on the next show. So the first one was connection versus chemistry, and then the second one was, I put as a heading, love. What is love? What are these types of love? You have the I have love for you. I got love for you. And then the second love was I love you. I got, it's affection. I love you. And then the third one was I'm in love with you. And
That's the
so
big one. Yes.
those were three types of loves that, we wanted to kind of dive into. But we want to talk about connection versus chemistry. So because I'm a person, I can talk. So I'm gonna let Barbara hedge this one off first.
All right.
And then
So listen.
I'm gonna come on in. Come on, Barbara.
Listen, that connection versus chemistry, it's one that you really have to think about. We say connection, but compatibility, how compatible are we? What does that look like? What does that mean? So, in doing a little bit of research, just about that word, compatibility in the connection piece, um, Google's my friend, but it's a feeling of sympathy and friendship or like-mindedness. And it can also be a state in which two things are able to exist or occur together without conflict or problems. Okay. So that's just, being able to hit it off, being able to get along, to accomplish whatever task. But when we're talking about relationships, does that compatibility make it to where a couple is going to be able to stay together just because of that? So that's a question you need to ask yourself. And as far as, yeah, excuse me,
Hmm.
papers won't turn.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I know it's gross, but it's my book. I lick my
Love it.
fingers. Excuse me.
I love it.
And the chemistry, it's a complete emotional and psychological interaction. It's an attraction to another person. Um, it's just two people feeling something for each other that's inexplainable, and you can see it. So, what's the difference? Can couples live off of compatibility? Will it work just being compatible with your mate? Because we're looking for that person that's a lot like us, right?
Hmm.
But there has to be something else there. And that's where that chemistry comes in. So, Dot, what do you think about that compatibility part?
Okay, I'm gonna go back because you unpacked a lot of things right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to come in agreement with everything that you said as far as starting back with connection. Like you said, we know connection is mutual, can kind of be mutual interests, right? Those are
Mhm.
mutual things that bring us together. Those are the likes. Remember on our live, we used the example of the color red. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Because I like red, you like red. Oh, wow, that's what connected us together, or something like that. But us liking that same color red does not mean that we have chemistry. You
right,
see what I'm saying? It does not mean that it's going to be something long term, because after all, we were only brought together because you like red,
we
I
love the
like
color
red.
red.
But what we missed in that part, to find out if it's chemistry, we didn't take time to talk about what shades of red we like. So we're just using color
Right,
factors here. We didn't take that time and nurture or talk about those type of, the shades, like what is your color shade of red and this is my color shade of red, to even begin that process, to even see if chemistry can, if chemistry can happen, right? And
right,
so we know those are mutual things. I put down here, its connection is not experienced at first sight or first interaction. Once again, it's mutual interests such as likes, lifestyles, beliefs, values. Is the physical that the two share, something that you guys just have in common that so happen to connect y'all together. It's not
right, right,
necessarily a draw, as chemistry is more of a draw. You understand what I'm
right,
saying? Chemistry is more of more of an attraction. Not that with connection you won't have a attraction for each other, but it's something in between, in within that connection, that's drawing you, that's connecting you to have an attraction. Like, go back to the color red. Hey, wow, she liked the color red, he liked, oh wow, okay, so we got an attraction there. Okay. And so I put mutual interests such as similarities. I put lifestyle choices. Once again, values that connect them together, which can be preferences, life priorities, which is visions, values, favorites, those type of things. So I do like what you say as far as connection. It's just mutual things that I don't want to use the word force,
right.
that possibly, but I need to use it for the lack of a word, that will force something to come together. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay,
It's like
okay.
a person driving. It's like a person driving and you see somebody standing on the road and they hiking and they stop and they say, hey, you go on my way. Yeah, we going in the same direction. So okay, so now we got a connection here. Okay, we going in the same direction. Whereas chemistry is kind of different. And I'm like you, Google is my friend.
Listen,
Now I have my own definition of chemistry because I understand chemistry. But
right,
just to give chemistry this fact, research says that says that the electromagnetic waves emitted by our heart control certain processes of the brain. So, in other words, what it was saying as I looked it up more, it was saying that it was more of an emotional connection that's really, as everyone was saying when I was looking up, that's really hard to put into words. So it's not something that you can really define, because its chemistry is more like an emotional bond. And that's
It's
where
a
we get,
feeling.
yes, it's a feeling. And that's where, as I kept looking and reading, everyone was on the same page as where we get love at first sight, right?
Right.
So it's love at first sight. It's a chemistry that I had so much more on chemistry, because it was so much more on chemistry than connection.
Right.
Chemistry was more of, that I found out, was more of an unspoken attraction. It's not nothing you have to say. It's not nothing you have to do. It's not nothing you have to broadcast. It's like the two, and it gave an example, and I think me and you spoke about this one time. Like, if a person, two people have chemistry, or we see two people have chemistry, it's like you can feel it. It's not
Yes.
necessary. They don't have to say anything. Him or her don't have to say anything. You can feel it. And then what I also liked about what one researcher was saying, sometimes a person standing out looking in will see that chemistry before the two even see the chemistry. They
Right.
just know
Just
that
like that.
there's something there. Chemistry
Right.
is more, I found it is more, it was saying it's more of like a spiritual connection. It's more of like a magnetic connection. It's like a drawing. And
Right.
the thing that took me back to that, when I was in college or school, I don't know where I did a science class at, one of them I did. And it is true, we play with those balls, and the electric things that connect like that. That's how it took me back to that, because that's how chemistry connects like that. It's not nothing. Chemistry can't be forced. You can't force chemistry, where you can force connection, which goes
Right.
into relationship. As far, I'll use women, where we're may be in a relationship with a man, and we're like, well, I'm going to get him to love me, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to make this work. We're forcing something
You can't do that.
that's not necessarily there. Or we'll
Right.
settle for something, or we'll become satisfied with something, and work on something to try to build something there, where chemistry is kind of different. Chemistry doesn't necessarily, now here's the thing about this that I read too. Chemistry doesn't necessarily mean connection, and connection doesn't necessarily means chemistry. You
Right.
still have to put in the work to build and grow the relationship, whether it's chemistry or whether it's connection. Because chemistry also too is what I have also come to understand and learn, can be short term. It may not
Yeah.
be long. It may not be long term, where connection could be something long term. You understand what I'm saying? So chemistry
Right.
is not that chemistry can't be long term, but you have to work at it. You have to put in the work that you will put in with connection. If that makes
Right.
sense. And one thing I'm gonna
It
say,
does make a
go ahead,
lot of sense.
go ahead. And one thing I'm gonna say, then I'm gonna let you call finish this up. The con that I found out about chemistry is that once I did say that it can have its dangers, because chemistry can also, if not careful, it can also allow you to ignore red flags, because you're so infatuated with the chemistry. You understand what I'm saying? And what I mean by
I
that
do.
also too, just because two people have chemistry does not mean they're good for each other. You see what I'm
Ooh,
saying?
say
Because
that again, Doc.
toxic people have chemistry too. So you can have two
Yes.
toxic people together too. Trauma people can have chemistry too. You can have two people that's still dealing with trauma. They can have chemistry too. So I'm just naming the negative side Other things, negative experiences from the past relationships, they can have chemistry. They can have chemistry too. But we're chemistry, if we're not careful, like I said, it can cause us to ignore all of those things because of the infatuation about it. We
Right.
know that is love at first sight. And, so chemistry doesn't mean that we're good for each other. And likewise, connection does not mean that we're good for each other, because sometimes, and I'm not saying it's like this all the time with connection can just simply mean that we're together because we have mutual interest. Now notice, with chemistry and connection, we never said nothing about love.
Not a
We
thing.
never said not a thing about love. We never said
Mm-mm.
that, right?
No.
So
Yeah.
chemistry, connection can just be, because we have these same things and we're going the same way. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Right.
go ahead.
Right. So with that whole chemistry thing, and you're talking about the science, you think about the magnets. If you put them together the right way,
Mm-hmm.
they'll come together. But if you turn the negative side to the positive side, it's going to pull from each other. So
Right.
it's not always good. And when you look at situations and you look at relationships, you've got to stop and think, am I going to be able to deal with this person
Mm-hmm.
long term just because he likes to eat sushi and I like to eat sushi, or we work well together, or just those things that bring us together. Is this enough at the end of the day to keep us together?
Yeah.
Where I like what you said about that chemistry also wanting to be toxic, able to be toxic. We get that warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels good, but does it mean that it's going to last forever?
Right.
No. So there's so much work to do. It's great to have chemistry, but you also have to have something in common, because at the end of the day, if we're not like-minded,
Right.
if we're not compatible with each other, if we don't have that chemistry, what do we have at the end of the day? That
Mm-hmm.
warm, fuzzy feeling that goes away after we do whatever we do to satisfy that primal urge or need.
Right. And another thing that I found out too, with chemistry as well, there were two types of chemistry that I seen a lot that I was looking at. And the two that stuck out the most was either it was going to be a love chemistry. You have to determine whether it's a love chemistry or whether it's a friendship chemistry.
Right.
And the thing about that is, with the friendship chemistry, you have to take time you have to take time to process through that, because what may work as a friendship chemistry may not transition well as a relationship chemistry.
Ooh.
So you have to take time to talk about that. Like we talked about, going back to the color red. Just because we like red, the part that we miss is that time, taking that time to step back and talk about the shades of red that we like. You understand what I'm saying? Because we like red until we come in the house and see that red on the wall, and somebody's like, "Wait a minute, well, where you get that red from? I don't like that." Well, I thought you like. Well, you said you like red, yeah, but I didn't like that type of red. Where you get that from? Like, well, I thought we, and so now you start to see the breakdown because you didn't kind of take that time. So with chemistry, you determine whether this is a love chemistry or whether this is a friendship chemistry, because friendship don't necessarily transition over to a relationship. And the ultimate goal, I know definitely for me, is whether
Right.
friendship can translate over to paper. Paper for me is marriage, from
Right. Right.
relationship to paper. So it's a lot right there to, you know, to talk about,
Okay.
to discuss or whatever. And we want to make sure that it's just not our mutual things that we like that are connecting us together. And then once it did, that goes into love. What we talked about, that love, those three types of love. I got love for you. We know that first one was, and we're gonna talk more about that one on our next show. I got love for you. That's like see how I'm doing, pounding. Yeah, I got love for you. I got love for you. And then we had the second one where I love you. You have
Yeah.
some type of fondness for that person,
Yeah.
right? You love them enough to, maybe care for them, do the dutiful thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about, this can be in a relationship. You love them enough to do a dutiful thing. There's a Bible story around what I'm talking about too. But I don't have time to go into that. Their names are Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. I don't have time to go into that right now, maybe on the next slide. But you love that person, and so you do the dutiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's due benevolence, whether it's caretaking for them or whatever, because you're in the relationship and you really love them. But then there's a difference in whether I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
You understand
That's
what
a
I'm
big
saying?
difference.
Whether I'm in love with them, which which kind of goes into that chemistry, what kind of goes is a deeper level, a level of love. I'm not questioning, it's without question, and chemistry, once again, is effortlessly, and I put down here for chemistry, it happens anywhere, anytime, instantly, or it can also happen gradually over time if you want to build that time from having a connection to build a chemistry. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Right. Right.
chemistry, once again, because our time, desire ways to connect. There's an unspoken effortless language. It's an unspoken mutual attraction, once again, that we say that can be seen by people standing out looking in before that person can see it. And connection is something that puts us together because we have mutual likes. And so
Right.
until all of it, regardless of whether people come together for chemistry, chemistry or connection, it still takes time. It still takes some type of work, to
And it's
nurture.
always going to take
Yeah.
work. And the biggest part is going to be that communication,
Hmm.
because we get that warm, fuzzy feeling and do whatever. And then where do we go from there? Or we might have that connection where we like the same things, we go the same places, we like the same music or whatever, we work well together. But there's more. Conversations need to be had in all these situations, whether it be that chemistry, uh, conversation needs to happen, because I need to know, especially in the world that we live in now. I need to know about you before I let all these warm fuzzies come out and take over my mind, or, even when two people are working together and they have a great working relationship, we need to talk because, yeah, we work well together. But what are your thoughts about tomorrow and the future and things like that? Conversations, communication is going to be the key in whatever situation we go into, So, and we also have to have an open mind, um, and realize that we just because you make me a little warm under the collar or we work well together doesn't mean that we're going to be together forever and ever and ever. It doesn't always lead to a happily ever after.
And that is so true. And going back to what you were saying, even after all of that, after we finish all of that, what do we have to work with outside of what we're doing, our mutual interests? What do
Right.
we have? And so at the end of the day, like you say, I just agree. I'm a big person on communication, big person on communication. Even when I was married, I was a big person on communication, getting clarity, trying to figure out. And even in past relationships before, of course, you heard of my stories about that. Even before marriage, I still was, even though relationships all going wrong, I still was a communicator. I still was a person of clarity, getting understanding. Sometimes I got it, sometimes I didn't, but I learned from those. I had learned from those times, you know, about communicating and talking, like, okay, where are we at? And I think communication is just so important. It's steps that build the relationship so you can understand where each other is at. And so for me, even like today, like if I find myself to be interested in someone, or I become, it's not me saying that, okay, we have to be exclusive that night, because that's not going to happen with me. Because
Exactly.
in order for exclusiveness to happen with me, love has to be in the picture. You understand what I'm saying? Love has
Yes.
to be there, because you need a foundation. So if I say that I'm exclusive with someone, it's because love is there. Outside of the spirituality, we're believers, we're Christian, just to put that out there. But I know we haven't talked a lot about that, but I want to be practical. We're being practical this evening. Love definitely has to be there before I even say that I'm with him, or he can even say that he's with me, because we need a foundation. Our foundation can't be a connection, a mutual a mutual cut, mutual because we like
Right.
bread. It has to be something. So for me, Octavia, it would have to be love. So it would definitely be conversation, so that we can even see, if we're friends, and definitely if we friends, taking time to see if our friendship would even transition and transfer over into a relationship, because we
Right.
just may have chemistry for friendship, that we work together well. We just work together well. And so we can confuse chemistry with connection, or confuse connection with chemistry. We just may work together well, and that's a bonding, and that's a love that we have, that we love about each other, because we do that. That doesn't necessarily mean relationship. You
No.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, that's the conversations that I just to make sure, because relationship is investment. So go ahead.
It's a big investment, Doc. And the thing that we don't stop to think about, and maybe we should stop to think about, is if you and I have a good working relationship and a good, we get along well, we work well together, we have the same interests, and then we have a little bit of chemistry going on in there. Um, is it worth losing the friendship?
Yeah. Oh, that can be our
That
next
was
topic.
what. Yeah.
Yes, go
Is
ahead.
it worth that? Because once you go there, sometimes it's hard to get it back.
Yeah, been there and
Sometimes
done
you
that with
can't
that one.
return. Yeah.
Once upon a
Yeah.
time in my young years.
Right.
Been there and
Right.
done that with that one. You regret
Yeah.
it, like, man, I wish I never, because you are absolutely right. Once you cross that line, you may still love each other. Like, I go back home, and I ain't gonna listen, I'm transparent. I see the guy, whatever, but it's just weird. Like, it's just, because once you cross that line, you don't
It's
get that.
awkward.
You don't get that back. And like someone said in our group, it's weird. You know what I'm
It's
saying? And
weird.
so that's why you have to make sure, for me, if it's a friend that I would be interested, or if it's a friend, definitely making sure it transition over to relationship. But if not, if it's not a friend, then that's something totally different. But like you said, you don't want to ruin something, that you
Right.
have. So, that communication and that clarification is important. Just making sure,
Very.
because no, I'm not building love. I'm coming in. If I'm exclusive with you, it's because it's love there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Listen, I can't wait to hit that topic next week, Doc. It's
yes,
going to be awesome, Dr. Octavia, I tell you.
yes, 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 yes. Um, so I'm thinking that is our time.
Yeah. It
So
goes by so quick.
it goes by so quick, so quick. But anyway, we just thank you guys for this is the Marital Toolbox, and we're our original time is from 5 to 5:30. We just had a little delay today, so but our original time is from 5 to 5:30, and we're getting ready to